All right, welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to be elaborating on Freud and Jung's structural model of the psyche and applying it to neuroscience and the structure of the brain. So, as of right now, all of this is kind of theory and hypotheses, not necessarily fact. And it's true for a lot of the things that I've said throughout my, this series and all the videos that I've made. There's a lot of truth and fact in there in what I've said, but there's probably not only some wrong things that I've actually made mistakes, and I want other people to point that out, but there's also things that I'm hypothesizing, and this is one of them. And what I've more or less done was think about the structure of our brain and the characteristics of each part based on neuroscience and the understanding that Ian McGilchrist and psychologists and like everyone has been trying to elaborate on. And I've seen the connection there. And I mean, I want to test these theories. And right now I'm just elaborating on what I currently think is the case. So here we go. I'm going to try to elaborate on this. So Freud and Jung more or less Freud created this structural model of the psyche and tried to basically explain that there's really three aspects, right? It's the ego, the id, and the superego. So the id is our basic functions, like our primal instincts, the things that our carnal desires. You can almost say like the cardinal sins and all those other things. So that would be the id. And if you were to think about where the brain does this, it is in the base of our brain, and this is often outside of our consciousness, and it pops it into our consciousness. So when we have these carnal desires like craving food and other things, they don't come out of nowhere. It's not like you think about how little energy your cells have, and then all of a sudden you think, okay, well, now it's time to eat. No, you don't think that. It just is a feeling that you get based on the hormones, ghrelin and other hormones that activate in response to you needing these things. So your body's maintaining that on its own through the id. And I would say those are your basal brain structures. So that's your brain stem, your basic the basic makeup of that. I know we've segregated some parts into different parts in there. But I don't want to get too much into the weeds of this. I just want people to think about the idea, like what the basic functions of this section of the brain do are our basic instincts and the basic functions. So like everyone should be able to understand that. Like I don't think that's too complicated. And then the id is what he's been referring to as that. So then we get into the left hemisphere. Let's go into the left. Is what I consider to be the id advocate. Now, he never said anything like this, but if you think about what the left hemisphere does, it's prey seeking, it's of the nature of breaking things down into parts, it's of the addictive nature, it's manipulative, it's all the things that like are gonna get what the id wants. So it's like if the id was hungry, the left hemisphere is of addiction already. Not only that, but it's also the thing that's going to try to break things down into parts to understand what part it's trying to seek. So in order for it to be the advocate for the id, it needs to first break down into parts what the id is seeking. So if either food, sex, drugs, etc., that's why the left hemisphere is the advocate for the id. So it's attempting to break things down into smaller parts for the sake of giving the id what it needs. And it's also of manipulation, both verbally and through physical interaction with the world. And obviously you need the right hemisphere to understand the spatial awareness aspect, but when it comes to seeking out that prey, seeking out that obstacle, whatever it is that's getting in the way of the id, that's the left hemisphere, the id advocate. So it's almost hard to distinguish the id from the id advocate because it seems like it's one, but really it's just you have those carnal desires, the id advocate is trying to make those things come to fruition and get those things to the id. And then next you have the right hemisphere, or the superego. And what Freud and Jung have elaborated on is that it's the one that gives you your sense of morality, your relationship to other things, your meaning, the thing that makes you care, your morality, the thing that tells you that like that is not okay. You need to do something. Like you need to better yourself, like, rather than just going out and getting these basic pleasures. And that's the right hemisphere. It's the brain that connects everything together. It sees the total holistic picture of what's going on, and it's saying, whoa, look at all this way more important stuff than just getting your carnal pleasures and these very basic, desires. Like some of them become needs, which is where the left hemisphere is good, because if all you do is live in the superego, you're never going to take care of your basic individual needs. You're always going to be trying to do things for other people. So you can see, like, it's very much the hemisphere of connection. It tries to connect everything and show you the big picture, that it's not just you that you need to care about, it's also all the other aspects of your life that you're connected to. So very short-term thinking is the left hemisphere, and longer-term thinking is the right hemisphere. But it's also present in the moment. So it's like in the moment it understands that if you're in service to the right hemisphere, that the left hemisphere will try to seek something out in the future. It gets really complicated once you understand the full aspect of how the left and the right hemisphere operate. But it's like the right hemisphere is ever present in the moment, doesn't really think about the future too much or the past. And if you orient the left hemisphere properly, it'll be in service to your relationships, etc. But then you have the corpus callosum, or the ego, and that is the mediator between the hemispheres. So it's in Freud and Jung's theory, it's also the mediator between your two brains. You'll say, okay, should I do my homework, or should I do I do my homework? Sorry, or should I just eat this snack, and then just go chill and watch Netflix? So your brains are making these decisions. Like this one's trying to advocate for those basic incarnate carnal desires, so it's advocating for that, and then when it advocates for it or it finds a solution, it's like, hey, you can go get this food right now, like there's a snack in your fridge, you can go eat it. And then your super ego is like, no, you need to do these other things that are way more important to your life, to other people's lives, and your relationship to everything. It tries to take as many things into account as possible, and obviously the more connected you are to everything, like the more you learn as you get older, the more ingrained in your right hemisphere you get. And that makes sense when it comes to both politically speaking and all these other aspects. It's like everything that manifests in our reality is a result of our brain. And like that makes sense because, I mean, not everything that manifests in our reality, but everything we manifest in reality, as in our social constructs and everything else. It's like the brain is creating all of this, everything we see in society. But so I appreciate you all for coming, and hope you enjoyed the video. I love you all, and if you want to watch more of these videos, let me know in the comments what you guys want me to do videos on. Yeah, appreciate you all. Have a good night.